All right, it's 10:20 Monday morning, March 24th. We're gonna start the Floyd County Board of Supervisor meeting. First item on the agenda is to approve the agenda.
I move to amend the agenda to remove items, the item regarding review and action regarding Child Abuse Prevention Month and the action regarding Sexual Assault Awareness Month proclamations.
Item 6 and 7.
Yeah,
So,
since both of them, right, are not coming today,
Yeah, both of them are not coming today. They will be coming on
next Monday.
Next.
Yeah.
31st.
Okay, I'll second that.
a motion by Carr, second by Campbell to approve the agenda
Amend the agenda.
with amending by removing items 6 and 7. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Public comment? We had some of that already.
And then
So, public action regarding the approval of the March 17, 2025 minutes.
I didn't see anything out of that ordinary. I'll move to approve our 17 minutes.
second.
Motion by Campbell, second by Carr to approve the March 17, 2025 minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Updates on various boards and commissions and activities since the last meeting.
I
Did we
didn't
do
have.
claims?
Pardon?
Did we do number 4?
Oh, claims.
Oh, I'm sorry, I checked it off, but we didn't do it. Okay. I'm sorry, item 4, review regarding approval of claims.
I was surprised to see that we had mileage reimbursement for Adam Miller going to ISAC. I wondered why he didn't take his county engineer vehicle. Do either of you know that?
I can help with that. It's because he was going back to Cassuth and didn't want to take the Floyd County vehicle back to his home. Downtown. So he drove
Makes sense.
his vehicle and charged from Floyd courthouse to ISAC and back versus taking the county back to his home.
I would think he probably could take the county vehicle though in those situations. It would cost less money than. But other than that, I didn't have anything.
I didn't see anything that was. I'll make the motion that we approve the claims.
Second.
Motion by Campbell, second by Carr to approve claims. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Now we're down to updates on various boards, commissions, and activities.
I didn't have any.
I should. I attended the CPP, FMC, Community Partnerships for Protecting Children meeting. I attended the Floyd Mitchell Child Abuse Prevention Council meeting. I attended DCAT Governance Board meeting, County Social Services HR Committee meeting, Iowa Workforce Development Chief Elected Officials meeting, special meeting that they had, and went to the legislative luncheon at NIAC on Friday.
Okay, I had the VA meeting, Board of Health meeting, and I attended the Early Childhood Development meeting at Chamber of Commerce meeting for Main Street then another Chamber of Commerce Business Improvement meeting. And I also attended the North Cedar Aviation Authority meeting during the snowstorm. That's what I did. All right, on to item 8. Review action regarding the remaining balance of the Samuels Group pay app number 46.
I think I go into my office and
I just have this.
hang on, I gotta grab some. What's next?
I apologize, I missed the piece for this part. There's one more. While we're waiting, Dennis, would you mind restating what you went to so I can text the rest of them?
Yeah, I went,
I have VA Board of Health, Chamber of Commerce.
VA, Board of Health, Early Childhood Development, Chamber of Commerce,
Early childhood
Main
development.
Street, and Chamber of Commerce Business Improvement, and then the North Cedar Aviation Authority. Get it that time before you get it? Okay. All right, back to item 8, review action regarding the remaining balance of the Samuels Group pay app number 46. Is $80,000.
Yes, so, I can talk on this one a little bit. The balance, was last November, December, we paid, $800 and some thousand so that retainage could be released on, like MPC, for example, they put up the wall, these block walls here, and their retainage was being held. So we paid a portion of a pay app so that some of that retainage could be released. But what was left hanging was the sweeper issues with the law enforcement side and the 3rd and 4th floor holding cells, and a few other little things. And so I had visited with Sid Samuels, the owner of the company, because Jason McClendon is no longer with Samuels Group. I don't know if you knew that or not.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's no longer with them. And Brian came to the courthouse a month or so ago, just kind of look at things and see where we were at. So to date, everything's been done with the jail side, the holding cells on 3rd and 4th floor. The only thing that's left remaining is they still have not wired that unit that's in the Main Street entryway, that lobby area. There's a heater unit, and we've been fortunate that we haven't had such cold winters that the.
That was at the first floor, right? That's
Yes.
the main entrance,
Yeah.
or- okay.
Yeah. So they, when we had to sprinkle the courthouse, they put sprinklers in there as well. And, so they had to put a heater in there because there's no, with the heating system, the old system was decommissioned. And so they put a little heating unit on the wall. Paul's, Young Plumbing had the contract to do that, and that included getting it in wired as well. Well, they got the unit, but they never did get it wired, which they supposedly were going to sub with Young's Plumbing to get it wired. And I think there's been some times when we've had some of those cold days where the custodians would leave the door, the inside door open so that there would be some heat in there, so no pipes would freeze in that area. But that wiring still hasn't been done. So that's
So what I'm looking at here, this is brand new. This is a company that did a lot of our construction on this then, just real quick.
They were the construction management firm.
Oh, Kinda like
Samuel's
the-
group
the
was. So,
Contractor and.
yes, so they managed all the contracts for the project. But this, and so
So their
this-
bill was like 16 million, is that right?
for all the contractors, yes.
Okay.
Um,
Down to 79. What, then they want the 79?
Yes, so when last November, what we had was the balance was 80,615.19. But one of the things they forgot to take off was they ruined the paper folding machine in the auditor's office. And so they said, go ahead and get a new one. It got ruined because they weren't covering things. We didn't provided them with the materials to cover equipment. And, but they'd come in at 7 o'clock in the morning, the custodians would let them in the room but they wouldn't cover things. And so in that paper folding machine, they've got plaster and stuff in there, and we tried getting it cleaned out. John tried doing maintenance on it to get all the plaster out. It would chew up papers all the time. So they said, get a new one, and they were going to distribute that cost to all those contractors who weren't covering things up that had plaster, which I think mostly it was Paulson Electric. But it was, others did as well. But anyway, that was the
Set the
next,
credit of October.
that's the credit of $1,229.63 that comes off of that. But what our motion needs to cover is one of the reasons for getting this all done is so that we could get our ARPA dollars all spent by March 31st. And so the motion that we make, if you're willing to pay this, which I think we need to pay this now, is for ARPA to use $74,674.37 of ARPA dollars. That zeroes out ARPA money. And then the rest would be paid out of general fund dollars.
So roughly $4,000 or $5,000 out of the general fund.
Yep.
So that's a motion?
6,000. I would make that motion to pay the balance of pay app number 46 using $74,674.37 in ARPA dollars, and the remaining balance due from $79,385.56 to be paid out of general fund.
And I'll,
And you want to repeat it?
no,
Motion by Carr, second by Campbell to approve the payment of Samuel's Group pay app number 46 in the amount of $74,674.30 from ARPA and the balance from general fund, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Item number 9. Review action regarding the secondary roads
Was
department.
there gonna be any public comment on that?
I'm sorry.
Samuel's Group?
Yes, there should be some public comment. I didn't ask for that, sorry.
Well, I hated to butt in, but I didn't get a chance. This is Gordon Bogey Coalition. I don't understand why anybody would continue paying the retainage to these companies when that courthouse project is not complete. Go in the treasurer's office and look up. There's still the old ceiling in there. How much of this stuff is never going to get done? And Gloria, you should be ashamed. You were part of this whole project and you are still sitting in a chair that you should take some authority to try to get this project completed. You should be ashamed of the way this project ended up. To give Samuel's Group the last of that retainage is bogus. It should not have been done. They shouldn't have got paid any of their retainage until this thing is done. All you got to do is walk around in that courthouse and know that this thing has not been completed and it never will get completed. And that's shameful that the taxpayers of this county have to pay for something that's so far messed up and it's never going to get completed. That's shameful. Thank you for your time.
So just on that, the ceilings, lowering the ceilings in the treasurer's office, auditor's office, or the second floor hallway were not in the project, so we were never in a contract to do that. So that is completed. I don't like it either, but that's what the Board of Supervisors, when we did cuts prior to letting the
That
project,
wasn't included.
and that was removed.
So we had a motion to pass, correct? So,
I think we
okay.
did.
Item 9, review action regarding secondary roads department and the Teamsters local union contract effective July 1st, 2025 through June 30 of 2028. Wages to be reopened for negotiations for July 1, 2026 and July 1, 2027. So we've got Adam here. We met Teamsters this spring, early, or this winter, I guess, actually, and came to terms with their contract. Is that right, Adam?
That was before us.
That was before me, so.
Yeah, 2.75% raise, and I think they got a few more extra hours of comp time. They didn't get that either.
Only
Okay.
2.7.
They asked for it, but they didn't get it. Okay. So, what do we need to do to get that up here?
The contract just needs to be approved. You can see on the last page of the contract, it has the signatures by their representative of the bargaining unit. I lost his name. I can't read his writing. Very sweet. Very sweet. And then Arthur is their legal counsel, their representative for the Teamsters.
Barry's from Ventura somewhere, I think, wasn't he, I think?
Who?
Barry?
Oh, Barry's our secondary roads employee.
Oh, okay.
He's the representative for the local group. Arthur was the person that went in the other room with Barry and him.
Yeah, it went back.
And back and forth.
He was from Ayler's County, right, I think? or-
No, that was our representative.
Okay.
Their Teamsters person was Arthur Jones. I can't read the writing.
So there's no reason not to sign off on this. It's all been approved and,
Well, we have to.
yeah, that's what I mean.
So I'd make a motion that we approve the secondary roads department and the Teamsters union contract effective July 1, 2025 through June 30th, 2028. And that contract allows the wages to be reopened in fiscal year 26 and 27.
28, and I'm reading the wages should be reopened for negotiations for July 1st, 26.
Yeah, so we only negotiated 2.75
Right.
for the first year.
First year.
But rather than them having to go through the whole process of having to do their requirements for, do they want to continue as a bargaining unit every year? They left it open-ended for the second and third year
Okay.
to come to us without having to go through
Okay.
so it's a 3-year contract
Yep.
with 2 years yet to be determined.
Okay.
Don't have to do what we did with them the first of this year.
Right. Well, we'll have to do the wage part of it,
Yeah,
but nothing else, only wages.
okay.
I'll second that motion.
A motion by Carr, second by Campbell to approve the secondary roads and the Teamsters local union contract effective July 2025 through June 30, 28. And then wages to be reopened for negotiation for July 1, 2026 and July 1, 2027. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. All right, on to item 10. Review action regarding the purchase of a GPS receiver. Jesse gets lost a lot and he needs a GPS receiver to find his way around, right, Jesse? Right. Come on up.
Yeah. So I might end up complicating things a little bit, but, so what I put in front of the board was a request for a GPS unit to, the primary purpose would be to collect the location of, on-site wastewater treatment system, features such as leach lines, septic tanks, and distribution boxes. And, the quote I had given you was for what is termed in the GPS world, a sub-foot unit, meaning that the accuracy is expected to be less than 1 foot. Variables would be, like, for example, like if you're using the equipment out in a field, you would likely get better accuracy, but a lot of times you are in people's yards, so you might be under a tree or multiple trees. So sub-foot is the accurate term for that, even though there might be times it's better. I did actually, I do have a GPS solution using the county cell phone. It is probably about 10 feet accuracy. But I'll just show you, I should have gave you these before the meeting, I apologize. I don't come to very many supervisor meetings. I'll explain what this is here. Yeah, so the document I gave you, the blue lines are the leach lines collected with the cell phone. They're probably too close together. And then the clean outs are too far apart. And the green dot is a distribution box, and that should be more centered up in between the septic tank and the beginning of the leach lines. And so, yes, I can clean it up in the office, but it's not always quite that simple. I'll give another example of a project where the leach lines are not always going to be just dead straight. Sometimes you have to go around trees, and if it's just, there's requirements that the leach lines all have to be the same length, but they don't necessarily have to be exactly parallel, so to speak. The second one took a considerable amount of time for me to try to figure out how to clean up the GPS data located. So it took a lot of measurements, and to be quite honest with you, I'm still not really even sure using that second map if I even actually have them. I mean, they're not way off, but the likelihood that I actually cleaned up that line work to be what it really is probably unlikely. So that would be the value of purchasing a GPS unit. And then the complicating thing is, of course, I provided a quote for the sub-foot unit, and then Siler Instruments actually over the weekend sent me an email saying that a company backed out of purchasing survey grade units, and for like approximately $1,500 more. I mean, it's whatever the board wants to do. I mean, the sub-foot unit would work. They sent me a quote for $1,500 more, and we could get a survey grade unit. And what that means is, I mean, it'd be, not that I can do it, I'm not a licensed land surveyor, but you could theoretically survey with it. I mean, you could locate survey pens. Obviously, that's not my job. But I mean, if you wanted to go that route, I mean, I'm just presenting information. So
So the additional $1,500 isn't part of any one of these quotes that we have?
no, I didn't give you that quote. It did come in. He did send it, the Siler Instruments representative, he did send the email over the weekend. Probably what I would have done had I known he was gonna send that, I probably would have waited and would have put that one in front of you. Probably gave you both options.
So without that additional 1,500, it's about 10 grand?
Yes, if we're rounding, it's about 10 grand for a sub-foot accuracy. And then survey grade accuracy, we could spend 11,500. I guess in a perfect world, but what I would like to see happen is that you authorize me to proceed with the purchase of the survey grade unit. And then if they're, they're salespeople. They're telling me that it's these extra units, it's first come, first serve. So I mean, there's theoretically that I telling you I want the survey grade one, and then I'll will leave this meeting and then they'll say they also, I can't account for that.
Are
I
there
do,
other providers? Any
Uh,
other?
I do have an answer to that question. And we are using ESRI products, Esri. And it would not really, there are other companies that sell GPS equipment, but from a practical standpoint, it would not make sense to go outside of Trimble and Seiler Instruments. They work with a product where basically all they have to do is collect the data with like either a cell phone or like the tablet that I requested in the quote, and it goes straight into actually our website. You can with the website for the county, the mapping through the assessor. Not a lot of people are aware of it, but you can scroll down in the table of contents or the legend, and you can actually turn on septic and well. And so I could literally collect it and like you'll actually see it real time. So I do not recommend going with, I minimally recommend not going to another company other than Seiler Instruments. They're a Trimble dealer. Trimble is gonna be the best accuracy, the most reliable, the best customer service. The other companies, I'm not saying that it couldn't work, but I don't think it's a good idea. I think that the gap between like name brand and generic is bigger than in other instances where sometimes generic works. I think in the GPS world, I do not believe that that's a good idea. So.
It is the system that Jeff had, is that outdated and not?
So the GPS unit, it doesn't work actually, and that's why I'm using the cell phone. I'm functioning with what I have, but the question is, could I be functioning better? What do you want your records to be at the courthouse? What do you want on the internet as far as what we're showing people we have for information?
What do you see in other counties are doing for small rural Iowa? Are they buying units like this?
I'll be honest with you, probably not. They might even be just hand drawing them in. I don't know that I like that idea, but that's what the Iowa code, basically you have to have an as-built drawing.
And you said you're gonna use this for wells and septics.
Yes,
So have you gone to the Board of Health? Because those would be Board of Health duties.
I did. But as I understand it, I have to come to the Board of Supervisors to purchase larger purchase items to get approval.
Where's the money come from? Whose budget?
It'd be the Board of Health budget.
Okay,
And
you
there's
got it?
money in there?
So that is one question, or I guess I was working with Morgan and we went through, I think, what is called a re-estimate. And so it would be a lot tighter if that re-estimate, because we did have 161,000 at the beginning budget, and I don't know if that got re-estimated down to 140, but it still looks like, because we've spent 73,000 so far, even with the re-estimate, it looks to me like the funding is there.
You talked to Gail about it?
Well, it'd be, yeah, it went in front of you had to leave, and I understand that last meeting, they did approve me coming to the board to ask for this.
Okay.
So technically, with it really, they're an autonomous board.
Okay,
But we do, if you're amending your budget, that has to come to the Board of Supervisors. So if are you amending your budget?
I guess I thought that over purchases over, maybe I misunderstood that, purchases over,
An old rule is anything over $500 was supposed to come to the Board of Supervisors, but that hasn't
oh, okay,
happened for years.
so
It could be lunch or something.
I guess all I'll say is I do the best I can, trying to make sure I follow the policies. If I went overkill,
No, we're not questioning that.
No, not.
Jesse, just,
yeah,
is the money there someplace for this?
yes, it is. I guess the only comment I might make is, but yes, it is, and I don't see any budget problems at all.
Okay.
But it is a small budget, so like any little thing can throw things off maybe a little more than like $1 million budget. I'm just saying.
Are you gonna do the $500 addition or $1,500?
That's what I would like to do.
Well, if you're convinced the money is there, I guess.
Having trouble with
Oh, so your thoughts are because of the insurance, bottom line, you've got a budget, but out of general fund, you don't have it, but with general and supplemental combined, you're saying you've got money.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm still learning the budget and I am trying to figure out how the budget works. It's just, there's a lot of moving parts there.
So is Boyd, right?
So we're all trying to learn it together.
But like, I mean, I absolutely knew we were good at 160, and then if it's cut down to more like 140, I still feel like it's good because we've only spent 73,000 so far.
But we need to be looking at the general basic fund total where it was 130, because that purchase will be coming out of the general funds. Because the general supplemental is included in the 160. That is where that 18,000.
Maybe if you just,
However,
I might need help to know if, I think it looks to me, if you look at bottom lines, it's there,
yes,
but,
but you got two funds you're dealing with.
okay.
But what, so it looks like you've taken the insurance out.
Yeah.
But we just haven't put anything re-estimated for equipment like this in here.
Okay,
Is that right? So if you look at your expenses that Morgan sent out the other day, it'd be on page 17. There might not, well, this would be, this would end up being a 600 code. There's not a correct 600 code because it's over $5,000. So it'd be a 600 code for the equipment. But I see what you're saying, because you have $20,000 there with the health insurance taken out of supplemental.
yeah,
And so of the expenses, yes. It's Department 23. Department 23 starts on page 16, but page 17 is where it's got the general fund balance, or total, I should say. The original was 130,480 for general, and the original re-estimate, you must have had a few other line items you re-estimated that took it to 129,430. Then if you look, the next section is your supplemental. That had $30,603 original, but re-estimated is $12,122 with taking out that insurance for this year. So bottom line,
You got the,
without this, you got $20,000.
you got the money.
right, yeah,
Right.
that is my belief,
Yeah.
short of the finance people telling me, hey, I'm wrong.
Right, we just need to put this, whatever the amount is, in a line item for
Okay.
re-estimated. And then when the board amends the budget, we'll have to make sure that, work with Morgan to make sure we get it in a
Okay.
budget amendment that we would do in May.
Right, okay.
I mean, I think if the Board of Health is okay with it, I don't think there's much to.
Right.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve the purchase of a GPS receiver.
Mr.
Motion by
Chairman,
Campbell.
I would second.
Go ahead on the phone.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask a question about this. Is this the GPS, the new system, or is this the GPS, the existing system? My understanding is when a contractor puts in a new system in Floyd County, he has to provide a map.
That might be true, but that in practice, that doesn't happen for one. And for two, there'd be no, I mean, they could just draw, they could just basically take a tablet and just kind of quick draw it out. I mean, I don't think that that's practical, and that doesn't happen throughout the state of Iowa. I mean, yes, they could just draw it out on a piece of paper with not even using really measurements, they could just.
Aren't you supposed to be there before the lines are covered up to look at this
I do
drain
that.
field?
Yeah, I mean, I do that. Yeah.
So I really don't know why we're spending $10,000 here when you've got to physically go out and look at the system, look at the depth, measure the lines and everything else. What are we getting here for $10,000?
The ability to GPS collect it as opposed to, like I said, if you look at that one map, which Gordon, I know you don't have that, but like, if it's a very simple system, obviously it is pretty easy to, you know, measure and draw, but when they start putting 45s in and angling everything, and then they take the leach lines and start curving them, it's not as easy as you would think to measure those
Well,
items.
I understand if you dig. I've done enough digging already. You run into obstructions, you run into maybe a rock you can't move, or you run into an existing bury hole, or somebody buried a basement or something. That's the only question I have. I don't understand. If you're supposed to be out there and inspect these systems before they get covered up, I don't understand why we're spending $10,000 for something that I don't know if it's really needed.
Jesse,
Thank you.
do you ever have to look for systems that were installed before you were here?
Yes, I do, and it is challenging when the previous, because the technology wasn't there, not because of they did or didn't do their job, but like, it actually is a lot harder to look at the older systems and figure out what was there. And a lot of times you really don't. It's backhoe coming in, digging the system up. That's the only way you know to find it. I mean, so I guess if anything, you might only be proving my point that because it wasn't done in the past, now we're having trouble finding it today. So.
So you're saying this is gonna give you accurate longitude, latitude numbers,
Right.
and you're gonna do that, so you're gonna get these angles of
They're gonna
lines
be
and stuff.
accurate as opposed to pretty sure.
And I can, I'm just gonna use a situation that I know that happened in the city of Charles City. Old lines were never, they, had on a piece of paper that the line went here, for city sewer, whatever it was. I can't remember what the topic was, but, they're looking at this piece of paper saying, oh yeah, it's supposed to be, so far from the center of the street or whatever, and they're not there.
I
This
think
would
Gordon,
give you that accuracy.
if you could go back and think about us out on the farm when we put tile in, I struggle, the GPS thing, I think would just be a little bit more accurate and cause I just know out going where I think a tile is, I start digging and I can't find it, I think that would be the biggest plus on this, and going forward, I think it would just maybe save us money in the long run, Gordy.
So another question, this
Yeah.
GPS, if you're looking for old stuff, it doesn't detect it, does it?
No, it doesn't. But if I go to a site and we are sure that what is there is what is there, meaning like, for example, let's say you expose the ends of the leach lines and it is a compliant system, I could GPS collect existing systems. We just don't want to guess though. I don't want to GPS collect information where there's like, oh, I think it's here. I want to know it's there. So like if they were to expose, like with a backhoe or whatever excavating equipment, you can probe too. It's harder though, depending on the time of year to probe for leach chambers. But if we go out to an existing property and there's a level of certainty that what is there, we know is there, we can GPS collect that.
Is there any,
I hope that
are
answers.
there any devices or tools available that will help you detect where it's at?
Well,
An old
you could,
system that-
I can answer that. we've done pretty good on some things. So at the end of each leach line, it's required to have the inspection port. And so that will help, but here again, there is challenges. So we do have property owners that will just pull them out. That really does happen, where they will pull out the inspection ports. And that doesn't necessarily, you got to think obstructions. There's already going to be 2 manholes for most typical septic tanks. And then there's going to be, they're actually called risers, but you get the point. So there'll be 2 risers on the septic tank. There's going to be a riser on the distribution box. So the property owner already has to mow around that. Then we're going to put 3 inspection ports, and then the property owner now has six things to mow around. Could we theoretically do something to mark the beginning of the leach lines? Yeah, you probably could, but it's not going to be a fan favorite. I'll tell you that. Then you're going to have 9 things to mow around. I almost guarantee you the property owners are going to probably pull those out.
I know what you're talking about, because I'm all around that crap.
Yeah.
That's so, I was just curious. I mean,
Sure.
Detecting old stuff is probably not as easy as we think, that you weren't around or no, 40 years ago was put in.
You could even get into ideas like tracer wires. You could put in a metal tracer wire, but then, for example, I mean, there's challenges there. You could have wires sticking out of the ground, and some lawnmower going to hit that. Okay, so metal detectors. I mean, that's another idea. With the tracer wire with metal detectors. But then again, is there? If anybody's lived on an acreage and there's probably been garbage buried. I mean, God knows what's in the ground as far as trying to use a metal detector. So it's not impossible, but possible versus practical, I think, is the way I would word it.
So, and honestly, how I feel about this, this is a courtesy that he's coming here, but Board of Health is an autonomous board. And so I think if they've said this is okay,
They don't really need our permission.
I think it's a courtesy that you're coming here, and it's much appreciated.
Yeah.
But unless you needed to amend the budget, I don't know that it was really their autonomous board.
Yeah, like I said, I guess I just thought since it was like knocking on actually, if I purchased the survey grade unit, it'd be 11,500 rounding. I guess I just kind of was under the understanding that large purchases had to come to the board. I mean,
Yeah, but as long as you've gone to the Board of Health, I'm good with that, but we've got a motion, I think we can continue with our motion. And I appreciate that, because we don't get that all the time, so I appreciate it. Very much.
Is there any other discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passed.
That's easy.
All right, Adam, your turn. Item 11. Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
You heard my question, probably. Were you listening on the phone? Yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't know that there'd be any issue. After I said that, it's like, I don't think there'd be any issue with you to just take the vehicle home and then take it to Des Moines, but you probably don't want to leave your vehicle here.
Well, I was going to go in after the conference for the weekend. That's why I took my own personal vehicle.
Gotcha.
I didn't want to take county vehicle all the way to Algona for the weekend and then back.
Yeah.
So,
Good morning.
That's the only reason I asked the question, so I come from the county.
yes, if at all possible, I would use a county vehicle.
Yep, appreciate that.
Thanks, Adam. All right, item 11, review action regarding resolution 1425, fiscal year budget appropriations for certain departments from 90 to 100%. And those three departments are risk management, sheriff, and the treasurer.
Yes, so, we're getting to the time of the year that if they budgeted correctly, they're gonna start pushing on those limits. And, you know, if they were responsible, depending on how their expenses come in and out. So we're gonna be seeing a lot more of these with that appropriation. Department 54, risk management, is a very small budget, and so with their, salary, like their payroll, they need to be appropriated above 90% for that payroll to continue to go through.
Well, probably when they did that, active shooter training and CPR training,
It gets them
max.
Is that Jason Webster's
Yep.
shop? Okay.
So, and then since we were doing one, I took a look at the other departments that were getting close. And that's where I chose to add, sheriff's department and treasurer's department.
They didn't come and ask, but you.
No, because we're getting that kind of that close timeframe where.
And this is where, when you're looking at the sheets that Lexi provides us, you would look at those and see, are they gonna get through the month? Kind of thing.
Yep.
Because we have, I mean, yes, they probably should be coming to ask, but we also have to be proactive on our side too. Because it hurts us in the auditor's office if we go over those appropriations
Sure, okay.
with the audits and stuff, is my understanding.
My department's
You've been appropriated.
I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 14-25.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 1425.
Motion by Carr, second by Campbell for resolution 14-25 fiscal year budget appropriations for certain departments. Morgan, please call the roll.
Carr.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Kiefer.
Aye,
Good job, I forgot.
motion passed. Item 12. Discuss weed control plan for drainage districts for the upcoming year. One probably that needs the most attention would be Drainage District 3. And I have talked to 3 different companies. I got response from 2 of the 3, and Morgan reached out to another company over by Garner, I think. Is that right, Morgan? So, and I still haven't talked to Tyler about if he could determine the acres in this ditch or not. If he can't, one of the companies suggested it may just be time and materials for the cost. But I will reach out to Tyler and see if he can get us an acreage number. So.
Sounds like we have an issue with drainage district 1 also.
Yeah, that's an issue, that was taken care of a few years ago though, and now the trees are coming back up, isn't that right?
This
Along
was last November or October, whenever
Along Underwood on the east side of Underwood Avenue.
and Dan Schmidt in October, I believe he said it was, contacted the engineer's office, and the engineer's office got Tim Lobby on it, and Tim said that the property owner was going to do it, but the property owner hasn't done it. So if it's in, I emailed him, and I don't know if he copied all of you back on that.
I think we may have. So
That needs, that's a large one that we've spent a lot of, we just spent $400,000 getting that drainage district done. We don't want to have willows, and that would be our 3-year time now, where we're making sure tree removals are taken care of too.
who's responsible for this? Is it the property owner or the county? Is it these trees inside the ditch or on the side of the ditch or both? Or
In the right-of-way part
right
of the
away?
ditch, the trustees are responsible for it, but most landowners will take on that and because we don't have anybody that goes out and walks those ditches or anything to see what's there. So most of the time landowners will do it, but obviously in Drainage 1 and Drainage 6, we had landowners that weren't doing that. And that's why we had these $400,000 and $600,000 projects.
Are they absentee landowners? Do we know?
This one, the Drainage 1 is not an absentee landowner.
How long a ditch is that one?
Well, it is a small one right here.
So if we go ahead and control, then we just assess District 1?
Yes.
Even if the county does, we can do that, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's the drainage responsibility. Now, but only what's in the right of way.
Right.
So if it's outside of that, because I think the way Tim's email was, is that there was some inside and some outside of the right of way thing, because the way I read it.
Does Tim have the time and equipment and personnel to do it, or have the county do it, or?
They went through shortly after drainage 1 was done, and they cut back some willow trees that were sprouting up. But the intent was, at that time, was for the board to get a program in place to take care of that, because, so people don't have a $600,000 project.
So the trees are not too big to mow, right? We can mow them off
And this one,
in District 1.
that what Tim said, I don't remember.
Can to be mowed and then sprayed with tar down so they don't ever come back again, or?
I think that'd be a good plan. Probably should have kept Adam down here. Talk a little bit more about what Tim might be able to do.
I wonder if he can come back. Does anybody know his number?
Adam or anybody from the engineer's office on the phone?
Adam is currently on the other line right now.
Okay. Could you
Do
have
you
a
want me
couple?
to send him down when he's done?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
would you
could.
please?
Okay.
Thanks, Tracy.
So while we're waiting for that, let's go on to item 13, no fees collected from the auditor, recorder, and sheriff for the quarter ending 12/31/24.
If I could speak. I just brought a
Oh, Amy's here, hi Amy.
Hello. For my December fees collected, I just made like a tutorial here that you can see where my fees go monthly. If that was any help for you guys, you would have received that same within your paperwork, but I just highlighted where the different fees go in. I could go over it with you quick if you want me to. Alrighty, what I have on the left-hand side here in the darker blue, the record management fee, I do pay that to the treasurer's office, that $260, but that is money that goes into account for record management. So that stays within, that doesn't go to the general fund. As I highlighted in the brown here, this is the total amount I paid to the Floyd County treasurer for county
14,000.
Yep,
That goes to the general fund.
yes, yep.
And then this one,
That's the total I collected, total money for my office for that
so
month.
far.
For that month, for December. It was
The
$66,235.
rest of that
It goes to this,
goes to the state, right?
correct. So yeah, what I highlighted in the yellow here, those are all funds that go to the state, just the different times that I've had. That's the yellow, I guess, was monthly to the Department of Revenue. I provide to them, and the orangish here, the $13,009, that's vitals that goes to the state. So the Iowa Department of Health and Human Services was public health. They do swipe that from my account weekly. That was the total for the month. And then the e-commerce fee, that goes to Floyd County Treasurer, but they pay that out to, it ends up going to the state treasurer's office, and that it's for Iowa land records. That, and then the green is DNR that they swipe weekly from my account, but that was a total for the month of $13,366.
So we got $18 and they got $13,000?
No, well, that's the total for the month. These are the total of the fees, the actual DNR.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I guess how the DNR total
So
for
that's not what the state got. That's-
the state, that is a Department of State, but that's just the DNR specifically. The yellow is Department of Revenue.
Which is what was it that didn't make the funnel? Is there something?
Recording fees, we were looking at raising recording fees, so that would go to the general fund. For example,
So
these
like
are my
the-
recording fees to the
Yep.
left-hand side here for deed mortgages, so forth. We are working with, the Dallas County Recorder was active on doing a bill, somewhat herself through the legislator. So we are trying to get our fees, increased attached onto that. I don't know where that's gonna go. We had meetings last week to work with them on where amendments for that bill's not even created yet, so.
We just can't raise our record. That has to be
No,
state.
that's a
That's a
state,
state
yeah,
thing.
that's in the code,
Okay.
yeah, so, that is something that was part of our fee modernization bill that I kind of talked about at the budget meeting. That was gonna go to $2, so it would double my money, but again, and what it's, right now, it's the fees I collect is $5 per page on a document, and they're gonna raise it to 10. And, of the first page of any document, like say mortgage could be 10 pages, but of that first page, that $10, $2 was gonna come out for record management for me, and then $3 to Iowa Land Records, where Iowa Land Records is this here where it's $1 they get now. So, but that hasn't, our bill did not, I got funneled, so we're working on another one to put that in there, I don't know. I'm very optimistic that that's not gonna continue forward, but I'm not, well, yeah, that's the right way to say it.
Yeah, no.
I don't know, yeah,
Gotcha.
so, yeah, I went down to the Capitol on Tuesday and, yeah, I guess that was kind of an eye opener, they passed it right through the, anyway, the bill is kind of, not what we wanted, so we're working on amending that, so, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I just wanna provide that to you guys to
Thank
see
you.
if that helps explain where the money we take in, where it goes.
Yep.
So unfortunately, yeah, we take in the 66,000 that month, but we only saw 14,000 some, so.
Okay. All right, well, thanks.
Okay, yep, if you have any questions, let me know.
All right. Item, going down to item 14.
How about 13?
We want to get Adam came in.
Oh, I'm
Or
sorry,
12?
yeah, well, we're done with 13.
12.
Yep, Adam, we got a trouble on Drainage District 1, which is east of town, just outside the city limits. It was cleaned up a few years ago, a lot of money spent. Now there's willow trees going up in the ditch, and one particular landowner, and maybe Tim has talked to you about this, but,
I've heard about it from somewhere.
yeah, and I guess what we're wondering is, does the county have the equipment and the manpower and the time to cut those down in the right of way? And then if they're not too big, come back and spray them with Toradon so they don't come back again, or some chemical that will kill the trees?
I would have to check with our foreman. I would imagine we have the manpower. The time, I think right now we'll probably have some time to do that.
I just forwarded, your computer's just dinged there. I just forwarded the string of emails from Tim Lobby on that. East of town, Dan Schmidt was an adjacent landowner to where the weeds are at, and said that, or trees. And so back in, I think it was October, that Tim talked to the landowner, and the landowner talked like he was going to take care of it. And maybe it's just the timing of it. Maybe it's the weather didn't cooperate. I don't know. But his last email said, because I asked if they were in the right of way or not, and he said, he just responded Friday that they are in the district right away and alongside of it. So anything that's in the right of way, sometimes secondary roads can do. But the other part of this is that, you know, Tyler from Bolton and Mink has said every time we've done these large projects that we need to get a tree management program in place. So whether that's hiring somebody like the companies that you've been looking at, what Morgan has there, because we don't have the staff that can go out, walk those ditches and see if there's trees growing, and we depend on the property owners to do it. But both of those projects were from not.
They have, there's two different names for landowners, a Mark Stevens and a Dan Schmidt, I think.
The trees are on Mark Stevens' property. Dan Schmidt is the adjacent property owner,
Okay,
or across the road or something like that, and has noticed the trees.
so Stevens is the one that's responsible.
Stevens is the one that Tim spoke with.
Yeah, okay.
Like he was going to do it. But when you say is responsible, that's the part, if they don't take care of it, then the county has to take care of it. As trustees for the district,
Can we charge Stevens to do it? I mean, if the county
you
goes.
charge the district, if it's in the right of way, you charge the whole district for
The whole
that
district.
main or lateral. The biggest share of that problem before was in that area as well as along Blickendorfer's properties where most of that grubbing out of trees came from.
Two different sides of the highway though, in that area.
Yeah. Um,
Well,
But-
it sounds in your email, the willows because of their height, that's something, I don't know. If
I
we
haven't
can do or
seen
not,
it. I
well,
can't tell you. I haven't seen it. And I haven't really talked to him about it.
Well, this came up because we know we've got weeds that need to be taken, weeds, not trees, but weeds that need to be taken care of with drainage 3. But since this email is coming around to the Board of Supervisors, we need to probably look at this one as well.
so maybe we'll have.
I will,
And let us know how
I'll
big the
talk to
trees
Tim.
are and where, how much,
I'll talk to Tim and we'll see if we can go out and visit it.
yeah, and see what we can do and then the rest.
I was like, this last email was the 21st of March, it was just last week one day.
Yeah, March 18th, Tracy sent the email that Dan had called and wondered what the status was of it.
That's right.
I would think that the trustees would want this taken care of, so they don't have to go through the big expense again, like they did
Yeah.
4 or 5 years ago, or whenever that was, so.
I mean, they'll complain anytime they get an assessment, because
Yep.
they, it's a cost.
Someone on the phone mentioned that.
Yeah, somebody was on the phone here, said something. We did.
Oh, I'm sorry, is there somebody on the phone?
Yeah, this is Tim.
Oh,
Hi, Tim.
We've mowed them down for him, so
Since
we
this
mowed
March
the
18th,
entire right of way on his property for him. The deal was that he had to spray them after we mowed them.
And that didn't
And he
happen,
said he would keep them sprayed.
and that's not happening, is it, Tim?
Correct.
Okay. So do they need to be mowed again now, Tim?
No, not that I know of. They're still short enough that you can get a sprayer in there and spray them.
Okay.
so if we get this company for drainage 1 to come in, we could, or 3, maybe we could have them
Yeah, I
do
think
this
so,
one too.
yeah. This isn't as big an area as Drainage District 3 either, it's just a quarter of a mile or so, Tim, or,
Correct.
okay. I think that's a good idea, yeah. So we're gonna have a company look at spraying for weeds in Drainage District 3, Tim, which is west of town, but while that company is here, if they agree to it, we may have them do this job too. District 1,
And I
be much
wonder,
simpler for them.
I wonder if that other area, like Blickendorfer's side, if that needs to be looked at as well.
Well, maybe Tim could let us know about that. That's north of the highway.
Do you know anything about that side,
I
Tim?
haven't been on that side. I'd have to go up and drive through Blickendorfer's just to take a look at it.
Can you get through their property to do that? You can, can't you?
To contact him and let him know that I'm coming up there.
From Underwood maybe or something, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And when is spraying time?
But it depends what you're using. I mean, if it's something that'll be taken up by the roots or if it's a foliar.
Willow trees or weeds?
You know, yeah, it just, the weeds and the trees, you know, and, 'cause sometimes if you mow the trees off, and if you immediately treat them, it would take it in.
Yeah.
If they've had a chance to harden off, it may not be that way. You may have to wait for the full year.
When did you guys mow those? Was it October that you mowed them? Yeah.
I can't remember. I know it was in the,
Oh, September.
they've had a chance to grow back in. That was probably a year ago. So I know they needed a little growth time just to get up tall enough so you could spray them. And I figured he was waiting for them to bloom out this spring to get them sprayed, but
You're talking about the landowner.
correct.
If that's the case, maybe it's a call to Mark and ask him what's his intent.
Yeah, we probably should check with him and see what his plans are, and if he says, I'm not gonna do anything, then make it easier for us to decide what to do. Or if he says he's gonna take care of it, wait and see if he does, right?
So, that in your lap? Your lap?
His lap.
Tim's lap?
You guys are trustees, so
Yeah. Who are the trustees for that? Are we the trustees?
Right here.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You get a hold of this guy.
Mark Stevens. Someone has his phone number. I don't see it on these emails. Do you have his phone number, Tim?
I will check.
Does he
If
live
I
on
do,
that?
I will forward it to Adam and he can get it to you.
Yeah, does Stevens live on that property?
I think
I
this
believe so, yes.
is where the trailer court
Yeah,
used
my
to
brother
be.
used to own that.
Yep, that's where Mark lives.
Okay. And these trees are between that property and Underwood Avenue and goes through there, so.
I think that's right, isn't that
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Get us the number.
All right, we'll follow up on it. Thanks, Tim. So,
Okay.
goodbye.
Tim? If you're ever about and about, can you, and like driving that direction and is there any visual thing you could see, like looking on Blickendorfer side?
I might be able to see some of it. I'll drive in that area, take a look.
Thanks.
Sorry to get you down here
Yep.
again.
you're fine. Anything else?
Yeah, we'll wait till you get back upstairs.
Take the stairs, it's good for the heart.
This?
So you've got three, we've got, I think this is, pretty sure this is the guy that, when I was down at a conference, I asked the Wright County auditor who they used for tree maintenance and spraying, and she gave me this lady's name, Liggy? Liggy? She had a
Well,
nickname.
Are you gonna reach out to him?
Or James.
You've already talked to him, Morgan. Is he waiting to hear back from somebody?
Yeah, we just need to have a better explanation of what directly you want him to do in each drainage district so that he can quote it properly.
And what about the other people we talked to?
I guess I haven't been in contact with the other companies, but you could reach out to them again and see.
Yeah, one of them was from Green and the other was from Algona, so I'll do that.
I like the idea of more local, if
Yeah.
possible.
We'll see what,
Have to get close.
Guy Green uses a drone. Leggy told us what he uses, right? I think.
Yeah, it's in that, right?
Yeah,
There's different options depending on the need.
yeah. Okay,
Oh, so if you needed to have
So there's a drone option.
trees
there's-
mowed, you do that. I wonder if your guy from Green would do that.
I don't know. We did talk about
You
that.
needed trees mowed and sprayed. Well, this is a really good example to talk with the other one on what do you do? Because this, my understanding is this guy in Wright County does all their drainage districts.
Pretty professionally done.
Looks like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but make sure when you're getting quotes, we need to try to make them as apples to apples so you can actually
Yeah.
compare them. versus.
Yeah.
If they're not used to maybe spraying drainage districts, they might have less detail. Kind of a thing.
That his scope of service is just what Tyler has said. Somebody that's gonna watch it. They're gonna watch it. And this guy has a routine that he can come up here and check things out. Probably pay for distance, unless your green guy will do the scope like that. But that scope looks like a good scope that I'm reading.
And they travel all over the state doing DOT contracts as well for like roadsides, so they can make, laps and check on things easier
Yeah.
because they're already around doing those other spring contracts.
Cool.
Well, all we need is see if the others are, like Morgan says, apples to apples, and
Yep.
we'll go from there.
Item 14, no retirement of sheriff's deputy. Got a letter from, actually from deputy that's retiring, Brian Tiedemann. And his last day is April 5th, 2025.
Was that the deputy when the sheriff was in our last meeting, that we, when I brought up not rehiring somebody back?
Yeah. That'd be the one.
This is the one then. Okay.
I think he's just not aware of the process that we've been going through
Okay.
and not knowing it was just a comment that should we
There's a split.
not consider replacing employees
Right.
in general.
Did you read Brian's letter? He brought up the fact that supervisors, sorry that the county supervisors are attempting to take this opportunity to cut the budget by removing a deputy's position. I hope that this can be changed as they do not understand the impact the sheriff's office has on operations of county government. Thank you for the years that I've been able to serve the citizens of Floyd County, so. Then we also had a note resignation of public health. Gail told me about that when I went to their meeting last week on Monday. That gal's name was, Brittany,
Yes.
yes.
What does she do?
She hadn't worked for a long time.
She used to be a full-time aide and then she took a job somewhere else. And then Gail, needed some as-needed help. And she said, hey, I could do that, but they haven't needed, either they haven't needed her or when they've needed her, she hasn't been available. And so Gail just said she was gonna reach out to her and tell her we don't need the position anymore. And that's in the budget numbers as well.
That has been
That's taken
reflected,
out of
so
the.
those raising my hand on the last one is, the line item for Brian Tiedemann's position has now been updated to what it would cost to replace him at a trained deputy level. So just adjusting for, and then also adjusting for, you're likely going to need more insurance coverage, like they're gonna choose more likely a family plan or something. Just so that's budgeted for, that's higher.
Then we got a letter going on to item 16. We got a letter from County Social Services that they will no longer be needing the space that they lease up on the first floor after June 30th. And that's in the VA, part of the VA's office. And this probably isn't the proper time, but Adam has approached me about finding different office space for his. He doesn't have any privacy where he's at right now. And he would like to either relocate or remodel to have some privacy.
Talked about moving that person to back where the file cabinets are and moving the file cabinets back, then he'd have a door to close.
Well,
Power, Ethernet connections back there either way.
That could be. Take care. I don't know that you wanna give that space away from county social services because, I mean, unless you're taking off the table anything with like DHS or,
one's on self-made, moving up here, you may,
Yeah.
yeah.
or even at the, do you remember Russ that spoke for our district for the new mental health, the disability access point. I did talk to him after the meeting, and he is aware of that space. He's not sure how they're going to be staffing things, but I did throw out there to him, would there be any way that we could have like a relationship we did with county social services, where you guys could have free space if you did general assistance? Because we still don't have that figured out, how we're gonna do general assistance, whenever
Yeah,
Renee and Jamie are done. So
Well,
he's,
those are probably some future agenda items, but what Adam would like to either do some remodeling so he's got some privacy, or relocate. And if we're relocating, we're not losing any office space, we're just moving him, giving up what he has to someone else.
so I'm not, the configuration of where his office is, and where's this office? I mean, is it close by?
Right about
Across the hall.
Just across the hall. So
VA.
he's still accessible to
Yeah,
everything, and you know, I can't believe he doesn't have his own office anyway.
yeah, if you go in there, the engineer's office, you know, his desk is behind the wall, behind the counter.
Oh.
didn't they
There's no
just put the
privacy.
door up?
Yeah,
There's,
Well-
right now, there's a sliding door.
Yeah.
Couldn't they just put a door on there if you want the
well,
door?
I'm gonna spend some more time with Adam and look at these things, but
Otherwise, what Jacob had talked about doing was moving the file cabinets that are in the room on that side, moving those in there and moving his office there, and if it's just getting some wiring there.
there's also that empty meeting room where the VA meets for their meetings, right by the stairs.
There is, but if you're taking DHS off the table, do whatever you want, but if you're looking at,
And his office space butts up to the wall of that meeting room, right, Ernie?
the file room.
Yeah, that cabinet is.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, just some things that we can address in the future, so. Any other future agenda items? Renee?
Sometime we'll want to remind Adam about the weed publication, weed notice.
So we're now to item 18, fiscal year 26 budget reviews. Did we get 3 or 4 more hours more again for us?
I'm gonna run out of fluids.
you're out?
Not yet,
Oh,
but I'm gonna.
you got three, you
You
got
make me
3
sit here
jugs.
for 3 or 4 more hours, I will.
Yeah.
I'll also probably need a restroom. So budget updates, last week, Dennis sent out an email to some of the department heads, asking them to cut their budgets by 1%. I did not receive back very many budgets that completed what they were supposed to. The treasurer's department came back and had cut 1 or 1.25% out of theirs. Yeah. I sat with Jesse for Board of Health, and we talked through some potential ideas. Mostly he re-estimated a few things for next year. Miller with engineering, brought in some re-estimates. I don't believe he cut very much, if anything. But that wasn't directly what you were asking, because that's a different fund. But Adam did do some re-estimates, to try to make a more accurate beginning balance for next year. Yeah, that was in the stack. The recorder went through and provided, Amy went through and provided about 1% cut or so. Adam at conservation, felt that he was unable to do that at this time, that he had budgeted as appropriate as he could for next year.
It looks like he potentially could be up for a budget amendment.
Yes,
Looking
that's
at his
also
numbers, to
going to be
increase it.
discussed. Is
He increased it.
When you look at the numbers, he's pretty tight.
You know, he's email or texted you about Adam over the weekend. He's advertising for someone to replace Amy.
Yeah, but she's getting married.
What's that?
She's getting married.
She getting married? So,
Public health, which would be Gail, sent me an updated budget. She went through and mostly it was wage changes based on their Board of Health meeting last week, where they increased the home health care aides to like a 5.5 increase, but that still has all of them under $20 an hour.
And it's 5.05, isn't it?
It goes 5.5.
Something like that,
I can,
but that's not the other one.
So, back up just a minute. We got somebody retiring or leaving the conservation, right? We just have control of that budget, but not specifically about hiring,
Bottom line.
bottom line.
And Amy is the office manager, and she also does my understanding, she also does, the cleaning the cabins, when they rent it out. I need somebody. It was originally a part-time person, and then they went full-time just a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Once kind of
Of course, hire somebody, I don't know what the previous one was getting paid. Or not quite as high as the last one.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
And that may save his budget now too, with that gap he's gonna have of not hiring her, that his budget might look better than it does today with
Yeah.
expecting that salary to go away.
Amy was a full-time employee though, right?
She was,
Yep,
just
the
for the
benefits
last
and-
couple of years.
Okay.
Hired as part-time.
excuse me, go ahead now.
okay. And then planning and zoning was also Jesse Rhodeson, who did come up and ask a bunch of questions, and we tried to learn some stuff together, and he also cut, I think that one was like $250, but it's relatively close to your 1% for housing.
So we got pretty good responses.
Yeah, but there are several department heads that
And
did
which
not.
would be which ones, yeah,
I didn't hear anything from.
recorded?
I did email, like, Brandy Schmidt.
Yeah.
I did email her.
And Brandy and I talked, Brandy came in and talked to me about it, and she actually took a significant amount of things out of the general fund budget and put into her assessor budget already this year, so she felt that she, she had cut more than 1%, I think, like overall.
Okay.
Not from what we had recently discussed, but she pulled like different insurances for their car and everything out of general fund and took those in under the assessor's levy. So that was also discussed, I guess, but I, like sheriff, I didn't have anything specific. Sheriff got back to me on the numbers for trained replacement for Brian Tiedemann, what that next person would start at. But I didn't do anything else.
What were those numbers?
68,000, I think.
80,000?
But then I
And
increased their
92,
insurance.
was 92, just for wages, it was like 92,000, but that experienced deputy, if someone comes in already certified deputy, that's the $60,000 number, but also went from a single health insurance plan to a family health insurance plan, not knowing what the next person might have, so, but it's still a net.
Savings,
There's some savings.
how much?
30,000 roughly, or?
Not quite. I'd say probably a
Maybe
little less
20.
than 20.
So the sheriff did talk then also about us not getting a vehicle, right?
Not out of
One
general
more
fund. Yeah.
year at least on, I mean, I guess that, I probably need to talk to the sheriff personally to learn more about the department, because evidently I hit a nerve.
Well,
We gotta do what we have to do also, and.
the thing with the sheriff's department is safety, I believe, and I keep this with me wherever. When I went to ISAC to my meeting, and supervisor's duties to protect, preserve the rights, privileges of the county and its residents, and improve the peace, safety, health, welfare, comfort, and convenience. Safety is mentioned twice.
Oh, safety's a big.
And I, not that I have a soft spot for the sheriff's department, but maybe I do a little bit. I would probably agree with having Crooks hire someone to replace Tiedemann at a lesser salary, obviously.
Yeah, I'm not, I'm learning on this, you know, I mean, I just thought maybe that was the way, but I understand how we protect our turf, yeah, but if we can come up with just, saving a vehicle or get it, you know, find us something, I think, you know.
And I
with
think
the-
Sheriff
with
Brooks
the-
is,
just the
yeah. He's trying to help.
compromise, you know, so.
He said he wouldn't hire a jailer if we give him what he has as a raise, and he's trying to work with us, I think, so.
Yeah.
That's just my,
If he does decide to take out a car or something, and you guys have talked to him personally, please have him send me over those numbers so that I can change them in the budget.
How about the car?
okay, sure.
And
Well, he's thought instead of buying two, he would buy one, right? Is what his.
I don't know, I can't remember exactly what.
He's bought, usually in the past, he's bought a pair.
We bought 3 cars out of ARPA dollars. for
That's
him.
right, and they come from Carl Chevrolet in Ankeny, and he gets the vehicle probably pretty dirt cheap, but then they spend 10 or 15,000 for the uptick, they call it, with the lights and stuff in it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Morgan, you didn't hear back from me because I was waiting for that stuff from Solutions, but I emailed that to you.
yeah.
We'll have
we're-
to talk through it, because I briefly just looked at it and I don't know exactly what everything means, but I think you and I can discuss it first. Because I just don't understand solutions packages in general, being new, how it works.
What Brady shared with me, and, right now, we're with Solutions, we're the silver plan, $47,000 a year. And if we go to the bronze and include county health, it'll go to about $10,000 less, right? Brian?
$10,000 less, and public health wouldn't be paying. I swear they pay like $30-some thousand a year to MDT.
So there could be a $40,000 savings there.
Yep.
So,
And the other thing we talked about last week, on the phone system thing, if we wanted to ride it out for a year with it. You asked me to contact Marco and see if that was possible. Like I had told you then, we can make it stretch. You're not gonna have security updates for the phone system. But like I told you, if something fails, or we're hurrying and doing something right away and pulling money out of nowhere to do something, if the phone system dies or something like that, so.
and what was the cost of that phone system?
It's about, I think it's like 66 or something.
66.
You can try it. Worst that'll happen is I will be without phones for a little bit. I hate to say it, but that's.
My thoughts on that, in general fund, we're okay, and I think we probably should get the phone system.
I need to. I was just, you guys are looking at.
Yep.
Talking to Dennis about it, put it out there.
You're not gonna need to amend your budget, or are gonna need to amend your budget this year.
Don't need to amend it.
So are we gonna do the bronze solutions package then? Is that up for us to decide, or?
Well, actually, Gloria and I had talked when I first started, we were gonna keep with the silver till we were done with the LEC project at least. So now, tying up with that, so yeah, we can try to get rid of the silver and do the bronze, so.
It was just kind of like Bernie getting acclimated to things, and we can still have solutions, but we can pay them by,
Per call.
per call. And that's where, if we think that we'd be saving money for the difference of how many times we may be calling them for services with their price increases too, because they have price increases, right?
Right, yep, 7%, I think is what it was.
And
So the 37,000, if we call them for help, they don't charge us, but if there's two options, one,
Yeah,
Pay
so
by-
like, The silver, you get more hours. And we always purchase extra hours from the silver.
We're like on the second level down. They have the first level, well, they do everything.
Gold, yeah.
Yeah.
Silver, we're on the next level now.
And then they have one less, that's the only three options they have.
Yep.
And
The
one
bronze
less.
is the one that if we did that, it would save us about $10,000 supposedly.
And in the past, people have asked us, well, could we do completely without solutions? No, we cannot. So far into this, I mean, the software that we have, Vision, Document Locator, all that stuff that's in here daily, everybody uses it, you know? And then support wise, something happens to me, you gotta have somebody call.
Morgan attended their meeting in ISAC, right? You went to the solutions meeting? And they just told you, just look at the competition and you'd be paying hundreds of thousands of dollars more.
Yep.
Something like
Tyler is
that.
more expensive.
Tyler is more expensive for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
And I
They're
love the
working on
guys.
getting better. Like their meeting was about how they're working on rebuilding because they lost a lot of key people last summer.
They lost well over 50% of their staff when the company got sold to Harris.
they're located in Spencer.
But I think they're probably closer to 75% of their staff than they are 50% of their staff. Is
My
there
understanding
one
is
left?
Warren was the one on medical leave. That's what I understood out of their presentation, pretty much. Unless I misunderstood some of the IT people and how they are still there and not there. But Christine is the only one that is full-time still there from Solutions.
So as far as budget purposes go, we don't have to have an agenda item to go to the bronze level.
No, that's just a decision that I make.
It's just a decision we're gonna make.
It used to always be an agenda item to approve the contract with Solutions.
Yeah, so when that contract comes back after July 1st, I'll bring it to you.
Okay,
But my thoughts are, rather than changing that in the budget right now, it's general fund, let's keep it where it's at right now. It's not helping our supplemental or anything else at this point.
Give me the phone system. Or both.
Both the phone system and the solutions product. And down the road, there may be another product with the ISAC is looking at outsourcing a service for that. And I think the ICA or ITAG, your people, your affiliate has some input on that process.
They talked about it last year. They're looking at making programs of that type themselves so that we're not dependent on third parties. I think they're kind of getting that whole idea from the feds, like self-sufficient.
I just believe it should be a state-driven program anyway.
Right.
okay. Another thing we need to focus on and spend some time on, and Morgan and I have talked about this, is getting First Main Street Joe Bonds or whatever his name was, policy deck page, so he can provide us a proposal.
You and I have a meeting with him tomorrow.
You have a meeting with them,
You and I.
you and I, and that's by phone, right?
Yep.
What's
Okay.
that one?
Joe runs to get him.
Oh,
to get the insurance stuff figured out. To finish that quote, yeah.
Okay,
Yep, we have a meeting with him. I talked to him late on Friday night, late Friday afternoon. To get that set up and have a better idea of what he's looking for.
okay. So I come to your office, Sam, for that, or what time is it, 1? 1 o'clock.
So the things that I think yet that are missing, you've got everything in, from department heads, and she's got the wages, but it's if there's any other wages we need to talk about. But then, do you want to shift that civil deputy from supplemental to general? That's what's in here.
It almost looks like a must.
It's the only way we're gonna get that
It's the only,
supplemental.
yeah, there's nothing else in this supplemental that, unless we eliminate people.
And then, since there's already been another transaction that occurred from Saragordo County for the collections incentive, that hit us again and got coded to the same account it's been coded to. So that I've got 65,000 is what I put in here for a budget amendment to pay them this fiscal year. I talked with Todd last week and his intention is to go do a new 2080 with Benton County. That's gonna do a 50-50. He thinks we should just pay the 90%, the amount we owe Cerro Gordo. He doesn't think they'll negotiate anything. He said he had talked to them some time ago about, we're gonna switch to a different county. We're not gonna use you anymore. So he said that ball is already rolling for that. So I've got this.
Wait. It's taken from 2022 to now. And if I read that right, they're responsible for collecting and then passing on the 10%.
No,
That's what the 2080 says.
That's what the 2080
Floyd
says.
County collected the money, kept the
The
10%.
2080 says
They
they'll
did.
collect it. They'll give us our 10%.
Yeah,
But his spreadsheet that he provided has a little small print on the bottom saying that things changed with the calculations and or something he's got in the bottom of that spreadsheet.
who said that?
In that spreadsheet that was provided in,
I must have missed it.
The colorful one? Yeah,
yes,
yeah, I got that at home.
on the bottom of that. I think either Morgan emailed that one to you or I emailed that one to you, Carlisle.
I think maybe you might have forwarded that one.
Yeah. And
Are you sure that they were gonna collect the money?
Yeah,
That's what
that's what
2080
says.
Yeah, I'm confused because I read somewhere where Floyd County was gonna collect it, keep 10% and send the rest to Cerro Gordo County.
No, they're
what I
doing
read
the
in the
work.
2080 is,
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. That's what happened essentially.
That's what happened.
But that's not what was intended to happen. That's not what the 2080 says.
Floyd County got 100% of it
Yes.
and we're supposed to pay them the 10
So
Okay, then, but 90,
or
Why
90.
did we get that $1,700? It was 2 payments.
because everyone's confused.
They paid us, but also in that spreadsheet, it says we erroneously paid you that.
Yeah, I know it was
And so
erroneous,
That
but
56,000 plus that 1,700 is what they want back.
yeah. So how did they come up with $1,700? There was 2 figures.
I don't know how they come up with anything. Evidently they didn't, because I quite honestly, they didn't live up to the agreement. And I don't understand, okay, we probably, but it's taken 3 years to get where we're at, and they demand payment in 1 year. But, I think we'll pay them, but we'll pay them over 3 years. What's
Well,
wrong with that? That's reasonable.
I'd say let's get it off the books and let's start the Benton County thing and get it,
Can we do a better job with Benton County than we did with Cerro Gordo? It's gonna
Maybe
require.
The Bremer County uses Benton County and she, after talking to her at the ISAC conference, and she emailed me, Benton County provides them with the information that every month they get a statement that says, here's what was collected and here's, you need to pay us. Cerro Gordo County has never done that. That spreadsheet that we've seen is the first time they've ever seen anything like that. But
So
Benton
who
County
dropped
does
the
a
ball on
monthly.
this?
What's
I
that?
mean, who dropped the ball here that?
Again, I don't
we
know
were
if
getting
it's a-
stuff coded that wasn't right and all that. I mean, what's the oversight there?
I don't know if it, we had a change in county attorneys right in that time. Right at that time. I don't know if that's it and it's.
So that shoots the hell out of our budget.
It does, that's why I've got 65,000 in. But the other numbers we're missing is, I don't believe Todd has provided with you for what he expects these numbers to be next year. So we're gonna get 100% and we're gonna pay 50% out. So he needs to get more than those numbers
Yeah.
for next year's budget. And then so when I was talking to Bremer County, she said that, so like that email that I sent to you, with where my plan, where we could give them some money and then amend the budget. My thoughts at that time were, if it went into Department 6, which is where I think it went, then that needs to be transferred to Todd's fund 14,500 and then paid from there. But when I talked with the auditor, the Reamer County auditor, she said, no, the general fund does get a portion of that. So there's some other formula in there that the general fund gets, and then part goes to Todd's fund. And so I've asked her for clarification, how do they pay, what do they pay their 50% out of to Benton County? And so I'm sure I'll be hearing back from her, but we didn't get it done. But on Friday, we were gonna call Heather Mathery from Cerro Gordo County, because I think she's probably got the best handle of anybody on this.
She's sharp, that's who I talked to. I know her and her family from North Springs. Roger Mathery's daughter-in-law.
Yeah,
But that's what surprised me, is this never got taken care of.
yeah, I did.
Because she's their finance person.
She's the director of finance for Cerro Gordo County.
Yeah, so, I mean, we're not all at fault here. I mean,
Heavens no.
I guess, I don't know, I just think 3 years would be better spread out, or otherwise, we, you know.
That 90% to begin with was ridiculous.
Yeah, but you guys agreed to it. Your name
I
is-
didn't.
Your name's on the 28E, your autograph.
Attesting to a supervisor's signature is all. It's no approval of anything. It's just that a supervisor signed it.
I mean, how long ago? Well, 2022.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can blame all we want, but the idea is we just don't do this again.
2022, is that the votes?
Yeah.
Just
Mark
before
Linder. No, Mark Linder.
Oh, okay.
I talked to Carl
Was it
Janab,
here then?
supervisor from
Might not
Cerro
be.
Gordo County, you know, and we talked about this a little bit, and I said, well,
Great.
pay it all back in 1 year, and he goes, well, we can work things out, so I.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Gordy.
Chairman, may I speak?
Yep, you're acknowledged, Gordon.
What is the possibility of getting a detailed invoice from Cerro Gordo County?
We have a spreadsheet on it. They've emailed the spreadsheet, Gordy.
So is there interest on this bill?
No,
No,
When did this start? Right after the 28 agreement?
yes.
And nobody had gotten notice till 6 months ago?
I don't know if it's Todd came in and wasn't aware of what was going on. Nobody at this table can answer that question for you, Gordy.
Well, now wait a minute. You're talking about $60,000 of taxpayer money, and the citizens of this county have questions on where you're gonna get it from. Where did the money go that's been collected? And somebody's gotta be responsible. And Ms. Carr, you being the auditor of Floyd County, I think this falls on your head.
Well, I appreciate your comments, Gordy, but this wasn't my baby. This was,
You think, Gloria, where's the answers?
I've already said, I believe when the check came from the clerk of court's office, the state office, to the treasurer's office, they had a code that I believe is everything went to Department 6, which is it went to the general fund, Department 6. What?
So is the money there?
Yeah, well, it's in the general fund, yes. The money came to Floyd County. There is no doubt of that.
I want an itemized statement of what went in that general fund. And when. You owe that to the taxpayers of this county. I want to know when the first dollar went into the general fund out of that delinquent's account or wherever it came from, delinquent child support. I want to know when the first dollar went in, and I want to know the date that went in there. And I want the full accountability of that account.
Okay, we can run a revenue report to show you the codes. What we are not aware of, Gordy, is how, there's 3 different fin codes that come from the state. What we're not aware of, the county collected the 100%. But there's 3 different fin codes that have county attorney's name on them. That's what we need Todd to identify what those 3 different codes are. One says like county attorney split, another one says, I don't remember what they all say. But that, we don't know the state's fin codes. But Gordy, the money did come here. It just didn't go to the county attorney's fund.
You can't find it.
We can find it. We can see that it came into the clerk of court's budget, or that's
I would
what
not
they are.
pay any claim to Saragordo County until you 3 can publicly show how this got so screwed up.
That's where the county attorney's office is looking into those revenue codes that came from the state.
Do not pay anything until you can justify how this got screwed up.
I don't think any one of us intends to pay until we have where we need to pay from. You
I
know,
would not pay none.
we're not going to pay anything until we know.
They've been waiting for
But-
3 years for this money. What
But
are they gonna do? Are they gonna file judgment against us?
got an answer for him, Chair?
I don't-
Talk to him.
I don't know, Gordy. I doubt it. They just want their money. Of course, they'd like to have it yesterday and they don't have it yet, but,
But it took us this long to get here. It might take us another year to get this straightened out. So the public, the hard-working taxpayers of Floyd County know this just doesn't get lost somewhere.
Well, to the benefit of the county, we've had that about $60,000 sitting in our coffers for 3 years. Or, every month getting a payment. So we've gotten the treasurer's been able to accrue some interest on that without paying them the money.
So are you telling me that the first day after this 28 agreement, it was already 60,000?
No,
No.
I said monthly, Gordy.
No, I want an itemized dated invoices. I want a paper trail here.
So if you go to the treasurer's office, they have every single receipt from the clerk of court's office that went to the treasurer's office. Went from the state office to the county treasurer's office. The auditor's office has a copy of all of it.
so with delinquent child support is what this is.
No,
No,
nothing to do with delinquent child support.
Well, it's got delinquent in the name of the,
It's delinquent, people were ordered to pay fines or whatever, and they never paid them.
not just
Delinquent child
child
support
support.
is Department 35.
Okay.
This is court ordered fine, it had fines, somebody had to pay, they didn't pay them. County attorney's office said, we don't have time to do these collections, and so they asked the board of supervisors, Saragordo County will do an agreement to do those collections for us, and they came up with this 90-10 split. So it's just, some people pay their fines, some people don't pay their fines.
Can I also intervene here? This is Jessie. I just want to let Gordy know that the pile is also in the auditor's office, so everything is already printed out and it's there.
That's what I said, Jesse. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I said to
They-
him, is the auditor has
I mean,
every
he can
single.
come here. I'm going to show him the same exact thing that's already printed out and in a pile in the auditor's office.
No, I'm not coming to the courthouse to personally start digging in this. The citizens of this county expect you 3 supervisors to be responsible for this, so it gets brought up at a meeting, so it gets put in the paper. I'm not gonna go in there as an individual. I want this exposed so everybody sees what happened and how it happened. That's what people are asking me for. How did this happen? When did it happen? And it needs to be done at a supervisor's meeting. I'm not coming personally in there to start digging through you guys' books. That's your job to be
have the information, we have a spreadsheet. We just need to figure out where we're gonna pay the money from and how much should go in the county attorney's collections fund. We're doing this very publicly, Gordy.
I haven't seen nothing in the paper.
Well, Bob, that's your job, I guess, Bob.
Mr. Chair, I think you know where I'm talking about at this time. I think the citizens of this county need the supervisors to publicly clean this up. The people want answers.
Yeah, I do too, Gordy. I'm one of the people, but
Okay.
the answers
So
are,
I'm gonna quit now. I'm gonna hang up, but this thing needs to be brought publicly forward.
okay, we get
Thank
you.
you.
Yep, we get it, Gordy, so. Anything else? Gordon, are you still there? Apparently not, so. All right. Anybody have any questions what Gordy wants?
We'll keep doing what we're doing. It didn't change anything.
All right, that's, it's been a frustrating deal. You know, I have people come to me and ask me about that too, and of course, I don't have an answer for that. It's hard to explain to them.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain. So, anything else with the budget?
So, public health wages, the other, already.
Oh, yes. So Board of Health would have approved Jen Solomon's wage.
Excuse me, what was that again?
Board of Health approved Jen Solomon's wage at $24 an hour at their meeting last week, is my understanding.
Yes.
And you guys had in my budget markup that it was only a 2.75% raise. So that will need to be adjusted if you guys are gonna cover the,
Does 9/11 have to sign off on that too, Keystar? No?
The supervisors are responsible to provide staff for 911. So you set the wages for that staff and provide that
I
staff.
was at the Board of Health meeting when they did that.
yeah. So, and then it would be the Board of Supervisors' responsibility for the budgets that she's part of what, 3 budgets?
Mhm.
And Board of Health is only 40%?
Yes,
40% of her
No.
wages, or?
911 is 40%, Board of Health is 35, and zoning is 25.
Okay, so Board of Health is only responsible for 35% of her time, and they have set that wage at $24 an hour, so, you guys kind of have to decide how you're gonna take care of your fraction of the budgets that pay for her wages.
When you were at the meeting, they talked about adjusting her percentage of time to make up for the difference. I mean, did you tell you that you did, that Boyd wanted 2.7, you guys wanted 2.75?
This is Jen. Hey, no, nobody brought that up at the time, the percentage. It was all, I mean, it was moved when Jason decided to drop me off of his budget, so I did add 5%. Cause I was at 30% for Board of Health, and I was at 20% on zoning, and now it's 40, 35, and 25. So no, that was not brought up.
And I don't know how you could do it any different than it goes to 25 in those other 2 budgets. And
Yeah.
the 911, we did budget $24. But so it'd just be the zoning budget that has the,
That'd be the smallest budget of the 3 then. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that.
but then the trickle effect.
Trickle effect is, then you have your $24 an hour bucket of employees that you guys have looped into one bucket. What are you gonna do with their wages?
Well, where I was going was with public health. Now Gail
Sorry,
wants
sorry.
the other 2 other employees in public health to get a higher increase.
Which then leads into our $24 an hour bucket.
What percentage?
This one's got Quarter rate.
So your options there are, and Miguel has cut a lot of things out of her budget already. But that difference between what she wants to give those other two employees, again, you only have the authority to do a bottom line budget
For her.
change. Yep, because they're an autonomous board.
The other two
Do we
wages
know
are
what her
asked
bottom line budget
Katie
is?
and Marty by 5%.
And you're, what's that?
Katie and Marty are having wage increases of 5%. The healthcare aides are having increases of 5.5%. The nurses, Kim and Gail, are staying at a 2.75 increase.
And so if you wanted that difference from 2.75, what the board had me do a couple of times in the past was take the difference from what the board wanted the rate to be to the, what Gail wants, the 5% increase, the 2.75% increase, the difference between the 5% and the 2.75, and go back to Gail and say, you gotta cut your budget by this amount plus FICA and IBRUS. Do that.
And how much would that be in dollars?
You got that difference probably in your spreadsheet. It's not a lot,
I know.
but then the problem that it
But then
causes,
you've got the other,
problem it causes is other staff like
Just-
Jen in the recorder's office, Jen and Lexi in the auditor's office, Sherry in the treasurer's office. It's just this snowball.
court.
And also then on the other side, also you've got, I think the sheriff, the secretaries and sheriff's office, you've got at 25. So that causes this as well.
It just made a cascading snowball avalanche, right? I don't see how we can go back.
Well, again, on the public health side, maybe your intent would be for Gail to say, okay, we won't increase those two employees to 5%, but you have no say in that.
Right.
So it could happen no matter what. And that's happened before as well. One time they got 5%, everybody else got 1.5%. The board cut their budget.
That's their budget. We have,
They're autonomous.
they're autonomous, you know,
All you have control of is the bottom line.
And they're part of Jen's salary is 35%, 40.
I think Board of Health is 35.
Board of Health.
Yeah. Zoning is 25. Right, that right?
35 for Board of Health, 40
I
for
was in 16.
40. There's 40, 25, and 35. The general fund and rural service and
911 is 40%, Board of Health is 35%, and zoning is 25%.
so it's 25%. It's $24 an hour in that 25% budget.
It's
that's
not
very-
much.
That's not much.
but that's not the,
But I don't know how you could do, other than changing those percentages, I don't know how you could do anything different.
I don't either.
They've been this way for a long time, right? They split 3 ways.
No, a year ago it was split 5 ways. 5% went to, she just said, 5% went to emergency management and 5% went to risk management. And departments 54 and 70, and she no longer has those duties. So, but they put the 5% on zoning and Board of Health. Those two 5%.
We have nothing that we can do about that except bottom line. They have to figure it out. This opens up more problems. Again,
And when you increase from the public health wages, then, like I said, that really affects that $24 an hour bucket that we put, you guys put, I don't know, six employees in. That if you're gonna move the bottom line up like that, they're part of that shift. So are you going to increase them to 24 and a half, 25? Are you gonna increase them individually after you've talked to their departments and decided, what you believe they should be paid?
Jen's asking for 24, right?
It's been
Solid.
approved for 24.
Yep.
On Board of Health side.
And Vanessa and Melissa, we were at 25.
They're in the budget at 25 right now.
What's 2.75?
2.75 is
24, 20.
24, 25 for Vanessa and Melissa. If you were to give them a 2.75% raise, is $24.25. But they're currently in the budget at 25.
And what's Katie's and Marty's?
With this new increase, will be at 25.50, and Marty is at 24.03.
That's which
That's
increase?
The 5.5.
What's the 2.75?
23.52 for Marty and 24.96 for Katie.
Tell me the 5% again.
First, I don't either. Katie is at 25.50 with the 5% increase, and Marty is at the 24.03 with the 5% increase.
24.03.
03.
I just personally have to say I have fight for the auditor's office because I know the workload that office has. I get 25 at least.
In your 2.5 months, and I am blown away at how hard they work, their accuracies, and their drive to continue to do the job.
So this increase in our levy that we talked about earlier today is going to generate how much additional money?
Which one? You asking me?
So you're
This one?
wanting to know dollars? Fiscal year 25 to fiscal year 26 dollars?
Yes, think increase dollars. Let's,
So this gray column right here.
Yep.
General fund increases 82,766. Supplemental decreases 21,000. Rural services increases 53,922.
total 126,731.
It's got debt in there as well, but debt you can't do anything about.
and that's even.
Debt in general you can't do anything about. And rural service, we did lower from its max, because its max is 3.46535 is what we had in the max levy notice. But I did lower that to 3.46, so I took off the 535 on that. But I mean, You look at those dollars and like I said earlier, in a $18 million budget,
I know,
$126,000 is not very much.
it's not very
Well,
much.
it's insignificant, actually.
Absolutely. And was that?
$18 million
Yeah.
budget.
I don't know, if you put those 24 bucket to 25, I don't know. I wonder if Gail would go to Katie at $25 and Marty at 24. Put the others in that bucket at 25.
Would you like to call Bill at the next meeting and ask for that, or do you want me to?
Were you at the meeting when they approved those 5%?
And they had what?
Were you at the public health meeting when the board approved Katie and Marty to get the 5.5%?
I don't remember it happening last week when I was there.
That was the meeting, but you might have left before they got.
Yeah, I had to leave early. They may have talked about it after that.
Because that's the meeting, she said they did that.
The 17th, right? Okay. We go today. Good, Marty.
Okay, what about this? What if we talked to Gail and we said, would you consider 25 for Katie? And leave Marty, 24 for Marty. So there's $1 an hour difference there. Otherwise, she's gonna have to amend her budget for the difference of 2.75 to 5.5.
So ask Gail, I'm gonna repeat what you said, go ahead. Ask Gail 25 for Katie, 24 for Marty.
Yeah, so instead of 25.50 and 24.03, they'd be 25 and 24. And then,
Well, Marty's not, it's not gonna affect Marty hardly any.
you know, but 2.75 is 23.52 an hour.
Yeah.
But
And if we
then
don't do that, then she's gonna have to amend her budget.
for
Right?
that difference between 20,
She'll have to, then, yeah, figure out.
the whole entire difference.
Right, exactly.
I can talk to her about that.
I would go along with it.
Oh, okay, but now I got to think about this a second. I also have, you know, we've got to figure out what we're gonna do with general assistance and what we're gonna do with mental health advocate. Down in Des Moines, I talked to a couple of counties and a couple of counties put that in their public health department. And so I asked Gail, would this be anything that she would even entertain? Putting those positions over there. You know, Renee talked to us about, she said it doesn't take much to do the general assistance. The mental health advocate kind of fits because it's all under Health and Human Services. But, so I don't know. I just sent her the email. Might have been last night even, and I said, you know, I don't remember. That might be something if they're willing to take on extra responsibilities, of one or the other.
And how would that save
Oh.
us money? I mean, if you just juggle that to. That's all we do.
We've got somebody to do the job. We don't have anybody to do the job July 1, or if Jamie and Renee leave before June, June 30th, when they're done, we need somebody to do general assistance.
Gotcha. Well, you said she might be open to that.
I don't know, I just sent her an email yesterday, asked if we could talk about it. Okay, so now I'm thinking, I've got the look from Morgan here. Mental health seems like a good fit over, the mental health advocate seems like a good fit over there because it's under health and human services. If we gave Lexi and Jen 25, could we put general assistance in as a responsibility in auditor's office to do? Think about that.
We can consider it. I wish I knew what everything entailed. Like I wish I had
Renee
a better
will was glad to talk with the office about
so
what they do.
I'd be happy to go visit with Renee. I'm not saying yes to it yet because I don't know what it entails and I already know that our office is extremely busy as it is.
So general assistance is, what's the workload? What's the?
Renee said it is not much at all. We budgeted $5,000. She said that potentially Community Action Organization would consider doing, if we wanted to hire them to do that service. And then people who want general assistance would go find those people and get their general assistance. But if we keep it here, we could maybe make it work. At some point, we're gonna have to talk to, if we can't make it happen internally, somebody's got to talk to Community Action Organization or somebody to see if they'll do it.
Toward the DHS on South Main, they can do that, couldn't they? They can't?
No, this is county general assistance. This isn't services, their state. This is a county obligation.
They're leaving up here, first floor.
Right, so they get free rent for doing our general assistance. So they did a study back at the time, they did a study with how much time they spend on general assistance. And that total came up to about what they would be paying on rent when they were at the DHS, when they paid for DHS. And so we just did a wash then, that they don't pay rent and we don't, that they take care of general assistance. And the mental health advocate is a net zero. We have to pay for the mental health advocate, but then we'll have to file to that new disability access point office for reimbursement.
You know, I sat in on that meeting and they said something about getting your bills in quickly. Are we up to date on that? Margaret, shaking your head, yes, okay.
The mental health,
For the other ones. Our fiscal agent ones.
oh, child support.
I never read that one. I needed to make sure it got turned in because of what the board is talking about.
Yeah.
Which I did. It
Okay.
was turned in.
I think they have like a end of the month,
Yeah,
after
do.
the month that
but
they want that.
because they're getting dissolved, I think they
That's
want.
not being dissolved. County social general assistance?
One of them I had gotten a message from, sent it in, stating that they needed it turned in by a certain date.
Jill McKee? But they're caught up.
Everything's
Okay,
on our side,
thanks.
yes.
That's my mind.
So it'd be a little administrative work for public health to, for the advocate to provide her invoice, push the claim through, and then get reimbursed by the state. That's where I was wondering, because if that's what you're talking about, because I've heard that there's been, I don't remember if it was mental health, something to do with mental health, it seems like, that what used to take a month to process a reimbursement is taking like 3 months to process a reimbursement. I can't remember for sure where that was at.
I think maybe what Boyd was talking about, that there was, they wanted to keep the bills moving as quickly as possible due to the possible federal government shutdown in March. If they don't agree with the budget agreement at that time. Was the concern on this one, is making sure that the federal dollars were still being paid.
Yeah.
And turning in the bills on time so that federal paid what they're supposed to pay.
Yeah.
So it's turned in, fingers crossed we get paid.
So where's that leave us?
Well, can I talk to Gail about the,
Two options, right? 25 for Katie and 24 for Marty, and or amend the budget. Those are two choices.
yep, and see if they take on mental health anyway. And see about general assistance, but I don't know on that.
Can public health take on general assistance at all? Like, would that be something that could be incorporated into their work in a way?
There was, one of the counties I talked to, their public health department, that's my email to her was general assistance.
That's what I thought you
and
were saying, but then you turned to me and asked.
It
me to
was,
take it,
just
so I was-
because I'm thinking if she's saying, well, then she might say, well, then I want this money.
Yeah.
I want the 2550 and I want the 24, if I'm gonna take on these other responsibilities.
Where are we at with Jen?
Or not necessarily,
Have we decided that?
just if it crossed over, then it's one less place for people to do. Maybe, I'm not saying.
What's that?
What about Jen? Is she gonna be a 24?
That's what's been approved by Board of Health there. Then the only other thing is sheriff secretaries and the other 24.
We're running out of days.
That word?
We're going to run out of days to work on our budget.
I know.
We have between like
It can't happen soon.
12, okay, 12 and like 19 days or something.
When does it need to be to the state?
Not till the 30th, but we have to have a budget hearing before that.
30th of
Which,
April.
Oh, we need to set a budget hearing.
which a future agenda item, but it should be next week to set the agenda, or set the public hearing date and time. To do that. And that's where the deadline, when we count back those days on the calendar, I know we just did at our last meeting that we'd start our Tuesday meetings on the 15th. But the 13th by noon would be the last chance that Morgan would have to get those publications to the newspapers. I don't know if you wanna,
When we're gonna do it on Tuesday the 1st, right? We were gonna start April 1st. We can delay that.
we did the action for the 15th, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did that action for the 15th, but I think that's where we might want to not do the 15th, maybe do the 14th.
And then tell new board, maybe.
Well, I'm just thinking I'm gonna have to change my website,
Yeah,
because that's on the second Tuesday. But,
that's easy enough to change.
yeah,
The reason I contemplated going to Tuesdays is to make Morgan's job a little easier. So she doesn't have to work on Sunday night till midnight, send me emails and
right.
text messages.
I'm not sure it's gonna change it.
We're gonna set boundaries and it's going to have to change.
So, yeah, I got.
You know how when my emails came out in the past.
Yeah, Tuesday the 15th, okay. And if that doesn't work, we can delay it again, but I'd like to move it to Tuesday at some point, so.
So if we can lock things down, it's no issue. She can get it sent out anytime.
So
that's
we're
a
not gonna
drop
have the
dead.
meeting on the 15th.
14.
That's when we're gonna start Tuesday meetings. Yeah,
We were going to, but that's what I'm saying. You might want to change it to the 14th.
or the 14th, I'm sorry, yeah. So no, boy, it won't be the 15th.
Okay, be on the 14th.
That's our birthday. Birthday will be the first Tuesday.
Second birthday.
So the 14th is gonna be our BOS instead of the 15th. Then next Tuesday is your birthday?
No, Earth Day. My birthday was last month. This
You
month.
You don't have birthdays anymore.
Yeah. Earth Day is on the
Or the
20th.
22nd will be the
Yeah, Earth Day, not birthday.
The 22nd will be the
first
the
Tuesday.
new move.
Okay.
Okay.
April 2nd is Appreciate Your IT Guys Day.
Did you make that up?
It's my sixth year.
Oh, that's so. Do that with the wages.
Are you gonna visit with Gail now?
I can visit with her on that, but on the other departments then, are we looking at
I need to
24
know
to
what you guys
25?
are ready for me to run next for wages. Are you gonna, what are you gonna do with your 24 bucket, I guess, if I'm just gonna be direct?
How many people want to be in that bucket?
That includes Jen Haft in the recorder, Jen Bauer in auditors, Lexi in auditors, Sherry Sprung in treasurers, and
So,
Caitlin. But I think
Caitlin, but
hers is already set at 24.
So there's 5,
There's 4.
4.
Yep, because Caitlin's is already set.
it's not a huge amount.
but I think Brandy was okay with that.
Yeah,
Can-
mine is-
Or you can probably easily come up with what that dollar amount would be for those 4 people at going up to $24 an hour on an annual basis.
Okay,
You can do, I don't do it now, you don't have to do it now, but you can do that,
yeah, I
right?
can send that out.
And then,
That's what we need to know.
But you need to tell me what you wanna bump them to. Are you bumping them to 25? Are you bumping some of them to 24.50 and some of them to 25? What are you wanting to do? Have you talked to the department heads to see what they feel like the wages? I've given my opinion, because I didn't sit down here, but
I thought it was gonna be more simple than that.
no, never, never.
they're probably listening in.
Yeah.
You'll probably hear from them on there. If they're listening, you'll hear from them otherwise.
Okay, so can we maybe get these numbers to me Tuesday or Wednesday, and then I give you guys an email with updated numbers so that more decisions can be made next Monday?
That'd be okay.
Does that make sense, Lauren?
I guess. Yeah,
And let's make a call for
I
Heather.
gotta move ahead. Sure.
So just to recap, we've got to, we'll amend for the 65, or re-estimate for the 65,000 for collections for fiscal year 25. We'll have that all figured out before we have to do it. But Todd's got to get us numbers for what he thinks those revenues and expenses are going to be for fiscal year 26. Those are not in the budget, and those would be general fund dollars. So it should be, general fund should be fine. Board of Health, they'll change, put a new revenue code in for a 600 code in for Board of Health for $11,500 for Jesse's equipment.
I've already asked Lexi to start researching that.
And then we'll shift the sheriff's deputy from civil supplemental to general.
From rural to.
No, civil, general supplemental to general fund. So we have 2 civil deputies.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Travis Sparks is already in general fund and Dan Sargent is in supplemental. So we'll push him over to, general. And then the other thing we haven't talked about is Area Development Corp. What, Tim Fox asked for 85,000.
I know.
I'm leaning to, we don't change much there.
I think we have to stay the course where we're at. I really do.
I
We
think
got-
we've
we
got
got-
1,000 extra in the budget. But I don't know that we should go any farther than that.
I totally agree with that. What do you think, Dennis? Yeah, I mean, I just, it's,
And since that development agreement ends, at some point, we'll have, John Danos will be working with the city and the county with the Southwest bypass area to have hearings for a new development agreement in order for Southwest bypass to pay that portion of his, and then the 47,100 is in our budget, or whatever the number is.
So the money we're gonna use to pay the Samuels group is ARPA money too, what's left, right?
All but that $4,000. Yeah, and that'll be in next week's claim, because we want that paid by March 31st.
right.
And then, we'll have a resolution, that's another thing, there'll be a resolution at that meeting to show all those ARPA expenses, and then we can file the report that's due
So
after March.
with this final payment to Samuels, we're all done with them, with Dean Snyder, with Young Plumbing and Paulson Electric.
It's, Sid has promised me that he will get that wiring done to that unit in the entryway. That's the only thing that's left.
And that's up to Paulson Electric to do that, right?
He was gonna call, I told him, I said, I believe it was in Johnson's, contract that they had to get the thing working. And the only way they could get it working was wiring, and that they were going to sub with Paulson to do the wiring. That was my understanding of that back in the day. But Paulson, I said, I don't care who does it, if it's Paulson or if you get Nick Gage to do it, but it needs to be covered under this, because that was the intent of it.
And that entrance isn't used much, but it's used occasionally.
It's pretty much, it's locked from the outside to come in, it's fire exit.
You can get out of it from the inside.
Yeah.
Because I've seen people exit
Yeah.
from the courthouse,
Yeah.
but they can't come in that way.
Correct.
And-
But there's no heat out. There used to be our boiler heat was in that
Yeah, so we need to get
over there.
heat out there.
Yeah. I told Sid, I said, we're pretty lucky this winter, but no guarantees next year will they be that lucky. And since now we have sprinklers going through there.
Isn't there a piece of marble that's fallen off of the entrance out there too?
Yeah, out here. But that's all through Jansen waterproofing.
Okay,
And they've got the marble. They just gonna wait to put it up.
warm up a little bit.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So that'll happen. Hopefully things are drying up.
You know, it could be done by Memorial Day. There's a lot of people that visit those monuments up there.
I can shoot Randy an email and ask him if they can.
Yeah.
But, I know that the issue is how soft the ground is, because that
It's
marble
heavy.
is so heavy and
Right.
not tearing up the ground too bad. But that would be nice. I'll email Randy.
Anything else for budget stuff?
Boring, just,
I feel pretty numb already.
I'm hoping next, I'm hoping next week we can.
Wrap it up.
But, so, I would contact to Gail, does somebody wanna talk to him? I can, if you want, I can talk to Jesse and Amy, or do you guys wanna talk to him? or-
I'm gonna reach out to Elon and see if he has any extra cash.
I don't think he does. Tesla's down about 57%.
Yes.
Yeah, the poor guy, he's lost quite a few billion, but
Politics can do that.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'm.
Second.
Motion by Campbell, second by Carr to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thanks for your indulgence, everybody.
What do you think?